Hi everyone, how's it going? So I've recently had my first semi-successful flyout in multiplayer in DCS and thought I'd share it with you. So I've had a few flyouts in multiplayer before, none of them have gone great. A couple of flyouts in World War II aircraft, all of which just involved me being shot down before I achieve anything. And I've flown the A-10 before. Didn't get to the first target before it had been cleared out by everyone else, and then JTAC directed me straight into a SAM site and I got shot down. But this one went better, so I thought may as well put a video together for this. Now I'm flying the A-10C II here, the new Tank Killer module. I'm pretty new to this particular module, but I've been flying the A-10 for quite a while now. I got the original module back when it was a standalone game before DCS World came out, and I've been playing it on and off since. So I'm pretty comfortable with the controls, the workings of the aircraft, but I'm not an expert, especially when it comes to multiplayer aspects of this, mostly being a single player DCS player up till now. For the loadout for this one, I went for something very simple. 6 Mavericks, 10 of which are half of which are the IR Mavericks, half of which are the optical Mavericks, and then 2 CBU-97 cluster bombs. Just to note, the A-10-2 module does have the heads-up display. I'll turn it on in a moment. This is the main difference between this and the Legacy module, but really doesn't take that much more getting used to. And it's actually a really useful module. I really like the addition of the heads-up display, or the helmet-mounted queuing system. So while I go through the setup here and taxi, we'll just skip ahead until we get to the runway, where the first, shall we say, interesting moment of the flight happens. I'll see you all there. So here we are, just approaching the runway. Just making the last few checks as I go. And just on the right hand side, you can see a large crater, which I really should have paid more attention to here. I should have given this a very wide berth. I didn't. And on that last turn, I bump landing gear. Don't really think too much of it at the time, and just take off as normal. Takeoff goes absolutely fine, mostly paying attention to the TAD display. Then as soon as I get my wheels off, alarms start blaring. I turn off the gear alarm, or the audio for the gear alarm, but it's still flashing, trying to work out exactly what happens here. What I don't realise at this point is I have really damaged the right hand gear. As you can see here, the right hand gear is down and locked and refuses to come out. Tried cycling the gear a couple of times, but nothing happens. At this point I really should have just RTB'd, probably dumped everything I had and gone for an emergency landing. But it's getting quite late in the evening and I just feel like going out and doing something, so decide to press on anyway. And as we'll see, this Chekhov's gear is going to come back to haunt me. But for now, it's just a short flight over a nearby lake to the nearest target, which is an airfield where we are currently attacking, or the ground forces are currently attacking, and so I head in to give some close air support there. I could have used JTAC. They do have JTAC on the server. It's incidentally the 4YA Open Beta server. But this time I decided not to, partly because of the bad experience I had in the previous match, and partly because, as I said, it's quite late. I just feel like getting out, blowing something up. So anyway, I'll skip through the flight to when we're just approaching the airbase. So here we are, just within 30 nautical miles of the target, which is an airfield. The contacts I keep getting is mostly a friendly F-14 that occasionally locks me. I think he mostly stays silent at this point. He has been on and off locking me as I approach, but thankfully didn't fire. I quickly identify a T-34 sat just next to the runway itself. Oh, sorry, a tank. Turns out it's a D-70 later. So turn on my Maverick. At this point, I'm well outside of the Maverick range. But I make a few attempts at getting locks as I get closer. As you can see, the targeting pod has absolutely no trouble tracking the target. Currently got it in area track mode just because I occasionally go through a cloud level. There's quite a lot of clouds at this one. And so I just find that area track mode works better with point track mode if you're going in and out of clouds. Otherwise, most of my attention is spent on the Maverick page. Did take a quick look around on approach with the targeting pod. See this tank as the main threat, and there are a couple of vehicles a little further along the runway. So here we are getting a bit closer to the target, within 15 nautical miles now. The Maverick's still having trouble locking everything, but I can start to see some of the lit pixels on the Maverick Seeker head. Every now and then I do get a radar warning ping from directly behind with an F-18, but I think we'll see a bit later. So on this approach, I'm just trying to get a better Maverick lock, just adjust the TGP to get better line of sight, and then start trying again with the Maverick. Cycling a bit between manually slewing the Maverick and just trying to slew it to where the TGP is pointing. Point to get some more warnings. There is some kind of SAM site on the far end of the runway. It's not bothering us just now, but we can see a couple of pings on the radar warning. Now we're just getting within effective Maverick range now. As you can see on the left hand side, and I finally get a lock, and that's my first rifle. Now I've pre-identified the other two targets at the far end of the runway, so I just slew the Maverick pod. Already fired rifle 2, I'm just trying to get the final target here. Do struggle a little bit to get that final one off. But there's third rifle. Point there, the T90. Takes a direct hit with my Maverick and gets destroyed, followed by the Striker with the second rifle. I'm now getting quite a lot of pings from various anti-air defences, so I quickly go defensive. Not sure if anything really launched at me at this point, but I just want to get away from those sites. Now the third Maverick did hit. I do get the kill in the kill feed coming up a while later. It takes a little while for that to happen. So for now, I just circle the site and try and provide eyes on. Right now, the ground elements are just reaching the runway, so I do clear it up just in time for them, and they have no issues securing the runway. So after a few minutes just circling the airfield, keeping an eye on everything, making sure that friendlies aren't going to be attacked, I start to come around from the landing site, and that's when I see that someone's just dropped a cluster bomb at one end of the airfield. I think this might be the F-18 from before. I'm not entirely sure who dropped that. I think they must have been directed by JTAC towards those two strikers that I had engaged, and I guess they just decided to drop their bombs even after JTAC gave them the abort order. Which is a good reminder that if JTAC says abort, it means that the target has been destroyed and there's no need to carry on. And you just run the risk of hitting friendlies, or in this case, damaging the friendly airfield. So I'm just coming around to the final turn onto landing. And this is where everything starts to go wrong. I am very much focused on the fact that I've got a damaged landing gear. I'm debating whether or not I should jettison my current stores. Turns out I probably should have. Also nervous about friendlies dropping bombs on the airfield. But despite all of this, I try and push ahead anyway. Trying to do too many things at once. Don't take enough time on this lineup. And it's going to cost me. I start to shut down systems. Really should just be focusing on the plane itself. And again, it's getting really quite late now. I just kind of want to land and get home. What I'm really missing here is I'm not paying attention to airspeed at all. Which, if you've seen my first P51 video, is something I seem to have a bad habit with. As you can see on the left-hand side of the HUD there, the airspeed is dropping. Really, I should be a lot more careful here. But I push ahead.
Altitude, altitude.
Krasnodar, forward, 1-1.
Worry about doing things like requesting flight permission here, which I should have done much longer ago.
Krasnodar, forward,
And
1-1.
here
Landing.
I stall out. So it's a good reminder that really should pay attention to the landing above everything else and get anything else sorted either before you land, like communication, or when you're on the ground, like worrying about turning off all the auxiliary systems. But still, lessons learned, and I had a lot of fun with this. Managed 3 kills, firing 3 Mavericks, and so I'm very happy with that. Just need to work on the whole coming back in one piece. If this video is popular, I'll certainly put up some more of my multiplayer adventures. But otherwise, hope you all take care and have fun.